Hello, everybody, and welcome into That Real Texas Team podcast. I'm the host of the channel. My name is Curtis Brown. With me, as always, my resident co-hosts. At the top right, we got Chris, a.k.a. Pac-Man Freestyle, a.k.a. Slim Chickens, host of That's Crazy Podcast and Talk, and your local laser light show. Chris, how we feeling?
Oh man, we back. We got the laser light show back. What you talking about? Of course, we back. Oh, it didn't happen then. Oh, it doesn't when I do it this way. Oh, this week.
Yeah.
Whatever. Oh man, I'm feeling great.
Oh, yeah. Down here at the bottom middle, we've got our main man, Mike. You can find him across all the social media platforms at Mass3 Productions. We're trying to help his channel grow. We're trying to help That's Crazy Podcast and Talk reach new audiences. Like, subscribe, notification bell, so we can help that along the way. While you're at it, do the same thing here. We're at 253 subscribers at the time of this recording, and like to see those numbers keep jumping. With that being said, gentlemen, holy fuck, free agency, the legal tampering period, all of that started with such a bang. A lot of things needed to happen for Houston to be able to make some moves. We started out the free agency period with like $4 million. I think we're sitting at like 7 or 8, and we've made like fucking 13 transactions. I don't know what kind of witchcraft is happening, but let's start off with the biggest news of them all. Laramie Tunsil traded to the Washington Commanders for a 2025 third and sixth and a 2026 second and fourth. Gentlemen, how are we feeling with that?
I actually still want to say fuck you, Bill O'Brien, because it brings it all up all over again. I feel that pain all over again. I hope this is not one of those moments where Casario is like, I'm the smartest man in the room. I'm making great decisions. Because it sounds crazy as hell. Our offensive line was Swiss fucking cheese, man. Yeah. And our two relatively good linemen were Titus Howard and Laramie Tunsil, and the distance between the two wasn't close.
Yeah.
So we traded the good one. We got rid of the really good one.
Well,
my feelings hurt.
Yeah.
I'm confused. And I don't know. I don't know.
Okay. Chris, what are your thoughts on the Laramie trade?
So, I'm trying to. Okay, so CJ Stroud was sacked 52 times last year. So, we're just hypothetical. What if he sacked 53 times last year? This year that's coming up, because we don't have Laramie Tunsil. That is not a big difference. So I understand that Laramie did his job where what he was supposed to do, because I don't think anybody coming from Laramie's side even touched CJ, maybe once or twice the whole season. But at the same time, if you get, I'd rather the haul that they got. I understood we gave up way more for Laramie when we got him, because we got him for Deshaun Watson, to begin with, from Miami back then. And it's just, I don't know. I'm not hurt by it. I agree about we got rid of the good one as far as those things goes, but I think that they're going to work the draft and just I honestly think they're going to work the draft and go from there and maybe pack it, because the thing about it is everybody's going after all of these guards, or going after because that's what we need. We need interior linemen. It's not the tackles that we have an issue with. It's the interior linemen, including
it wasn't before we traded Laramie Tunsil.
True.
If we're being honest, we have one tackle now. I don't know what Blake Fisher is. He hasn't shown me. I'm not writing him off yet, but he hasn't showed me enough to where I say, yeah, that's the guy. Yeah. Like with looking at the draft, bro, do any of y'all see another Joe Alt in this draft?
What's that? What that kid from LSU?
He's not. I don't see him as even being Joe Alt.
Well, I mean, Joe Alt was so good that they asked him to play a different position because they already had a guy playing his natural position.
Mm-hmm.
That's a
And what did he do?
Go what?
What did he do at that other position?
He did pretty well. Here's my take on this. Okay. I want to take you guys on a little trip here down memory lane. So we trade for him. We send 2 first-round draft picks and I think a second-round draft pick. And we also get Kenny Stills. So he comes over. He plays that first year. He does well. We give him a fat extension. The next season is, if I'm not mistaken, the next season is where Deshaun has his whole I'm gonna do massage stuff. And then he misses the next year.
With a thumb injury. I remember that.
With a thumb injury. Yeah. So Laramie opted to stay on IR with a thumb injury that happened in like week 2, and he was eligible to come back in like week 5. Said he didn't want to play for a losing team. So he stayed on IR. What did we do? We extended him again, making him the highest paid left tackle in football. He comes back, he plays. He's far and away the best part of the pass blocking, but never buys into the run blocking. All right, regime change. Now we've got D'Amico Ryans who's trying to build a culture. He's trying to get guys who are swarm or who iron sharpening iron. And then you want guys who are accountable, and you want guys who are trying to be leaders and lead by example. Laramie Tunsil, if you go read any of his combine related stuff, you read any of his draft prospect related stuff, he moves differently than every other left tackle in the NFL. He's got a very particular natural rhythm that nobody else can replicate. And when you got a cohesive unit like an offensive line, and you got one guy who moves in a way that no one else can move, it kind of throws everything off the circadian rhythm, so to speak. Now, D'Amico with his culture. Do you guys remember when Laramie Tunsil was flagged 4 times for false start or fucking illegal procedure against Minnesota?
Yeah, I ain't forgot that.
Do you remember?
How can we forget that?
Right? Do you remember what Titus Howard and Laramie Tunsil said in the locker room after the game?
Something along the lines of, "Oh, the referees have got it out for us."
Something. He eventually.
It was a bunch of fucking excuses. It was
a bunch of excuses.
He was the most penalized offensive lineman in the first 5 weeks.
He was the most penalized player in the NFL in 2024.
Oh, he was the most penalized. I didn't know the whole NFL, but I know that first, he just from the line perspective in general, those first 5 weeks, dude, he had like 12 like in the first 4 weeks. It was crazy.
Yeah. The penalties didn't stop till like week 11.
So, Laramie Tunsil says after the Vikings game, while media people are asking him basically, what are you going to do to try to change this? And he's like, my name's being called or whatever, but, I'm not the one who's making that happen. It's not my fault. Titus Howard, by the way, in that Minnesota game, CJ was sacked like 4 or 5 times.
Oh shit! I thought it was more than that. That's pretty good.
Titus Howard was dragged.
Is that the game when Titus fell? Like he got bull rushed, but he tripped over his own feet?
I don't think so. Titus didn't allow a sack that game, and John Grenard had 3. And he's in the locker room talking about his PFF grade's going to look nice, but the whole offensive line looks like shit. So, to me, that screams no accountability. To me, that's a problem. They had just recently extended Laramie again, making him 2-time highest paid left tackle in NFL history. And by the time we had done that, I think there was another contract shortly after, and he's now top 2. You stack top 2 left tackle payment on top of not as good as it's been pass protection from him. the continued piss poor run blocking and the seemingly endless penalties, this was going to happen as soon as they could possibly make it happen.
You know, now that you think about it, that when you say it like that, it does make sense. Maybe Casera and D'Amico said, I think we cut out a cancer.
Yeah.
Before it metastasizes. We cut it out before it spread too much further.
Mm-hmm.
My whole thing was
apparently they think Titus is reformable. They can reform Titus.
Yeah.
I agree. I don't think Titus was like a big issue. I'd say my whole issue was the interior. My issue with Laramie was the penalties. That was my main issue. And his penalties costed us a lot. And it's not that they were holding penalties. It's these false start penalties that are pushing us back. And it changes up everything. It changes up how plays are getting called. And it's bad enough we already have this guy. Think about when stuff's happening in the red zone. It happened a lot in the red zone. We'd be on the 1, and now we're at the 6.
Yeah.
And then you know what happens again? Then we get a holding penalty.
You know, now that you brought it up, Curtis, I feel much better about him being the hell out of here because you are correct. I think the worst thing about him might have been his attitude.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal. It's no issue and nothing like that. It's like, yeah. Something else that I thought about, you know, the penalties stopped being as frequent. What if the penalties actually really didn't stop? The refs just got tired of fucking calling.
I mean,
the NFL told him, hey, man, this shit is slowing down the game. I know he's moving a little early. Fuck it.
It's definitely possible, but
yeah, we already knew him. And on top of that, and the thing about it is, okay, so
he's been false starting for years.
Yeah,
he's been false starting for years.
Not even the false starts. What's it? The legal procedures, whatever that is. That the new rule that they just brought in about being too far back.
No, you know, Will, that I'm not going to blame that on him because he wasn't only. Everybody in the NFL was getting called for that shit.
Which I agree.
It wasn't new. They got strict with it. They just actually, you know what? We're going to start really actually calling it.
Yeah.
And it messed up a bunch of teams early. Because before, when Laramie was going through all of that, the Bears were actually the most penalized for it out of any team. Because that's how they've been lining up for years.
Yeah. Their line was bad too, though.
Look,
shit, not anymore. They bought a good one.
So let me put it this way. All right. So between Shaq Mason, Titus Howard, and Laramie Tunsil, just those three, roughly $70 million we paid them last season.
For shit.
For bottom 5 offensive line play. If anybody keeps up with what's been going on, you should have seen the writing was on the wall for some of these guys.
I thought it was going to be Titus. I thought it was going to be Titus and Shaq.
Yeah. Well, really Shaq was never going to stick around.
Well, I knew Shaq wasn't going to be here, but I agree with Mike. I honestly thought it was going to be Titus. Now, like you say, what the hell? I was more happy that it was I got these damn ports everywhere. I was more happy that was Laramie. I always felt like we gave up too much for him, and he was worth it, but I always felt like we gave up too much for him. And then like I said, the attitude and things like that, and then just I don't care. The penalties, you getting paid all of this. I don't care how well you blocking our quarterback. You're still hurting the team with these false starts. 5 yards is 5 yards to be moving back. And that was in my opinion, that was like an Achilles heel for him, the false start. Like I said, the legal procedures, okay, we're gonna not blame that on him. Okay, I will take that away. But the false starts from the moment he got here, he's been doing that. And it's been an issue. It's not like he just started. It's been an issue. So I'm I'm gonna be so mad if he goes to Washington and this hold on false start not one time. I'm gonna be mad.
Bro,
I think we can bank on that.
I'm telling you, it's gonna be less. It's gonna be less. Every offensive lineman false starts at least some point. Laramie, like I said, has been getting that early start his entire career.
Yeah.
Which is how he gets in his break so quick. I not see that. All right, we can get off the Laramie thing. Come on, we got a whole bunch of other stuff to talk about.
Well, I was going to say that the reason that we haven't moved on from Titus, he's not nearly as valuable as Laramie. Titus is getting paid $2 million less than what Laramie was. And he's giving us like average offensive line play, generally speaking.
He's actually, if I'm not mistaken, he's much better than Laramie on run blocking. Much better.
Yes.
It's not even close. In pass blocking, he's slightly below Laramie. He didn't play bad.
I mean,
his stats looked bad when we moved him to left guard.
His stats looked. He started to play better when he got to left guard.
Well, no, we just stopped noticing him.
Everybody, I'm gonna say I don't think that he.
Everybody bum rushed the right side.
Yeah, because I agree. I don't think that. I just think that they just didn't rush that way. Just because you got both tackles on that one side, because you can run over. Zach Mason's 6'1". I can run him over. You got Blake Fisher. What's Blake Fisher like? 6'4", 6'5"? He's a rookie.
6'5" and actually sort of slender.
Yeah.
If you saw him in person without his stuff on, you think he was a basketball player. He's not huge like some of these other guys are.
Look, let's pivot a little bit. Still on the offensive line, Kenyon Green traded for C.J. Gardner-Johnson in a 2026 late-round pick swap. Kenyon Green needed to be gone last year, but the team really wanted to kind of give him that extra year of like, all right, let's see what this kid's got. We were talking before the pod. There's a decent shot that he goes up to Philadelphia and suddenly can learn how to play guard.
Oh man,
and that's going to piss me off, but but at the same time, this is a fleecing of a trade. We late round pick swap and send a bum ass left guard for a safety he's been fucking phenomenal. He's played on really good teams. And I really think he makes this secondary, at least on paper in the offseason, top 3.
And which works out well because you got Petrie already down. Petrie's already dropped down to kind of play that half a linebacker safety position that he's playing, that nickel position. And then another thing. Okay, so this is what I will say before I talk about CJ real quick about Kenyon Green. So I know we were in the running to get Saquon Barkley. Think about how good Kenyon Green would have looked if we would have got Saquon Barkley. Because it is what it is. Joe Mixon ain't Saquon.
No, Saquon's only Saquon. But okay, guys, I have to ask this. Did CJ, to me, he made Jimmy Ward expendable as hell.
Yeah, no, he definitely made Jimmy Ward expendable as hell. The interesting part here, though, they still haven't really brought in any actual corner. Tremon Smith is a special teams guy. He's technically safety depth at this point. But I wouldn't be surprised if Jimmy Ward is basically corner 4 if he stays on this team and is the backup to Jalen Petrie at the nickel spot.
Best place for him.
Yeah. I mean, he played pretty well there last year until, karma got him after he had knocked out all of our players. And but that's where if he stays on the team, that's where he's fitting in logically. I think he's on the move. He's going to be 33 this season. We don't know what he's going to bring to the team at this point. But C.J. Gardner-Johnson is probably the best safety we've had in the building since Justin Reed and Tyrann Mathieu were here. He's going to be a great mentor for Bullock and Petrie. Solid moves. This is a prime example of you got to let Nick cook. Another offensive line move.
He fleeced them. He fleeced those guys.
Like a motherfucker. Shaq Mason's cut. Thank the Lord. Other offensive line moves. So we move on from 3 of the 5 starters. We're putting Titus at left tackle. We bring in Laken Tomlinson, who's coming off of a pretty decent stint in Seattle. He's not gonna, world beat anybody. Nobody's gonna be like, oh, this guy's a Pro Bowler or a Hall of Famer, but he's gonna give you consistent, average guard play, and he doesn't miss games. Dude has not missed a game in a long time. That's why he's here. He's also older. He's 33. That's why he's on a 1-year deal for $4.5 million.
Mm-hmm.
Not a bad deal. They did just trade for another guard, Ed Ingram from the Vikings. He's younger. He's basically Kenyon Green 2.0. I don't think he's a starting guy.
He might be worse than Kenyon Green. I ain't gonna lie to you. He might be worse.
That's literally impossible. But
I'm about to say, yeah.
I'm just saying he might be worse.
That's not possible.
Kenyon Green, from the moment he started playing for us, was graded out as either the worst out of like 111 tackles or guards, I should say, or second worst in each of his 3 seasons that he played here. There's literally no shot that this guy comes in and plays worse than him. The only time Kenyon Green looked good was in the run game.
Kenyon Green's nickname was actually Swing Door. Because you didn't even really have to push him to go through the door. You didn't have to touch him. It's hard for a guy to be that big and that bad at standing in the way.
Yeah. So let me ask you guys this. With the bringing in of Ed Ingram and a couple other little lesser marquee names, does this mean Juice Scruggs at the moment is penciled in as the starter at right guard and Patterson at center?
What sounds like.
Till the draft is over.
Till the draft is over, yeah.
If you want to be honest, the only person I don't have a problem with is Patterson at center. As bad as it sounds, and I don't really have a problem with Patterson at center. I do not want to see. I don't want to see orange juice, apple juice. I don't want to see anything about juice on that field. Gatorade juice. I don't want to see nothing that has to do with juice on that field, because that's just how I feel.
Yeah. Now I will ask you this:
just not excited.
Guys, did y'all see Bradbury? Grady for Minnesota. They're trying to dump him too. I was like, I really wanted him when the draft was around.
Yeah. Yeah. There's probably some things that we could do. I think Nick is not quite settled in as far as the moves he's going to do. We'll see. But some of the other moves outside of the Gardner Johnson move feel like we've kind of got a stacked defense. You bring in Darrell Taylor on a 1-year, $5 million deal. You bring back Derek Barnett on the same type. Mario Edwards Jr. You bring back Sheldon Rankins. I'm not at all feeling okay. So, like, as many question marks as there are for the offensive line at this point, I have so few question marks on the defense. It's just the linebackers.
Well, I told you, I agree with you. The only thing I wish we had one technique on the team.
Yeah.
But we have so many bodies that are fairly fucking good that I think D'Amico watched that Philadelphia Super Bowl and said, how far are we away from that defensive line?
Yeah.
And he evaluated, we're not that far. We're really not.
No.
In certain positions, we're better than that.
I agree. I think we've got a lot more depth at the edge rushing position than anybody else in the NFL. I still think it's very likely we draft a defensive tackle.
Yeah.
I think we should. Obviously don't have to be early. But I am going because we speak about linebackers, and that hits really close to my heart. Because all year I spoke about a certain linebacker that I honestly, if he don't show me anything this year, he don't need to be on the team anymore. and that is Christian Harris. I don't care how fast he is. None of that. I don't want to hear nothing about him.
There's been rumors about him being traded.
Yeah.
There's been rumors about him being traded this offseason.
If he goes somewhere else and be great, that's wonderful. But we don't know, like, shit, he came back and got hurt. I swear he got hurt like 3 times when he came back. And so I don't even remember seeing him. I know he played the playoff games, but I don't even remember seeing him.
Bro, we had conversations with Dre Greenlaw. So I don't think they're sold on Christian Harris coming back and playing football either. Because I'm gonna be honest, did Henry To'oTo'o earned enough of a shot to get a good
Henry
look next year?
Man, I have no heat. And I'm not going to say that Henry T is a great linebacker, but he don't miss games. He's going to lead in tackles. He's going to do his job. Henry T goes out there and does his job.
And with Aziz, they gave that man all his bonuses he missed for being suspended. The team still paid him to him.
Yep.
So they like that guy. He's not going anywhere. And we don't really run a 3 linebacker defense. We don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like this is going to get to the point, like, so where's he even going to fit in? Because especially when you got Petrie running out there with the nickel spot, which he is so great at. I love it. I love it that he's there, man. I hope he comes back extra healthy. You know, when we drafted Petrie, I love that we had drafted Petrie. I didn't know too much about him when we drafted him, but I love him.
I think at this point they need to go ahead and extend him before it gets very expensive next year.
Yeah.
You're gonna do Stingley this offseason. You better do Stingley this offseason. I'd go ahead and do Petrie too, to why it might be a little bit more affordable. Give him Jimmy Ward's money.
Yeah, because Stingley should get done now because he just finished his 3rd year, right? So he should get done now. Both of them are eligible, right?
Well, both of them were from the same draft.
Yeah,
they got drafted the same year. So the only difference is we have the 5th year option on Stingley. We do not on Petrie.
They should pay him because it's in my opinion, it's him and it's him and PS2. Now I do think that PS2 is better, but Stingley is right there.
It doesn't matter. J.C. Horn just outpaced him. J.C. Horn is the highest paid cornerback in the NFL right now.
I know, and I know that. I forgot all. Yeah, but that's because PS2 got paid what 2 years ago? How long ago he already been paid? That's why. Last year, yeah, but this is got paid before. That's all it is.
J.C. Horn has the same issue that we thought Stingley was going to have. He can't stay healthy for a full season, and they still pay him.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Look, these are good problems to have on a defense. But, I mean, Stingley's got to get that deal done. Yeah. This year kind of is a make or break for me with Petrie. Obviously, he had a great rookie year, fell off his 2nd year. Last year was a good comeback to form. They kind of started using in the right way. If he can continue that, I'm not opposed to an extension, but Stingley is my top priority. I think you could probably find a Petrie anytime.
And as better as it sounds, with that injury that Petrie did get, you can also low. It sounds as bad as it sounds.
That's the only reason I say to do it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you could get it at a good amount, secure him and his family for a couple more years, a 3-year extension.
And especially with he's a safety, they don't
bro.
Not gonna get
no. The thing is his agent can argue that he's a nickel corner.
Yeah.
He doesn't actually have, he could negotiate a contract at a linebacker, nickel corner, or safety.
Yeah. Well, look, let's pivot again back to the other side of the ball. Outside of the now holes on the offensive line, there's still one more position group on offense that needs to be addressed, at least in my opinion. The Christian Kirk trade answers at least the 2 to 3 spot. I think it's a phenomenal trade.
I do too. We got that man for a 7th round pick. Can you even name who the Texans have drafted in the 7th round in the last 5 years?
Xavier Hutchinson.
Can I name if this dude's gonna be healthy? Is this thing working?
It's working. It's working.
I know it's working. I just wanted to make sure y'all can see it. Okay, so look, I like Christian Kirk. I think he is a great player. He go stay on the field.
Does anybody on our wide receiver room stay on the field?
That is true. You know what? Once I think about it, shit. Don't nobody stay. Okay. You know what? He still ain't getting a thumbs up from me.
Look, let me put it this way. It'll make you feel a little bit better. Okay.
No, yeah, I'm listening.
Daimi Brown was signed by the Jaguars for a 1 year, $10 million up to $12 million contract. 1 year, up to $12 million. We are paying Christian Kirk 16.5. Do you think that a healthy Christian Kirk versus a healthy Daimi Brown are even remotely in the same production class?
So number one, no, because number one, I didn't know who Daimi Brown was until Jaden Daniels started throwing him the ball.
Yeah.
He didn't know who he was till Jaden started throwing him the ball.
So that's gonna be number one right there. I had no idea who he was.
That contract you just named is almost identical to the same thing as what Tutu Atwell is getting.
Yes, Tutu Atwell got a 1 year, $10 million up to $12 million, and he is wide receiver 4 and a kick returner. We're paying
Christian Kirk's better than both of those guys.
Yes, and we got him for basically $4.5 million more. Okay, I don't hate this. If he's healthy, that's great. Everything works out well. If he's not, we only have him for a year.
No. Curtis, you forgot one valuable point that when it hit me in the face, I was like, oh, that's awesome. It's non-guaranteed.
Yes.
If he gets hurt, we can cut him. We can cut him and get all that money back.
Yes. The Jaguars took all of the dead cap space when they traded him to us. And we took his $16.5 million. So realistically, we could open that up if we wanted to. There's an opportunity to renegotiate with him and spread it out or whatever, however we want to do it. All I'm saying is he's wide receiver 2 or 3. I'm hoping it's 3, and then we bring in somebody. And that's why I have this thing at the bottom. That somebody in free agency would look like Cooper Kupp, Stephon Diggs, Amari Cooper, and Elijah Moore. Now, Elijah Moore, you could probably get on the cheap. He's about 25 years old. He's just been on teams where they're just void of quarterback talent. So he's the name that jumped off.
I feel like you get Amari Cooper on the cheap sheet. It's Cooper Kupp and Diggs. Even
Kupp,
Cooper Kupp.
Kupp, Diggs, and Cooper are all going to probably be at least $10 million a year.
Yeah. You could realistically bring in Elijah Moore for like 1 year, $5 million.
Yep.
Maybe even.
But I still think Amari Cooper would be cheaper than either Cooper Kupp or Stephon.
Yes. I mean, the only reason Kupp's still a free agent is because he still believes he can get that big payday. There's been a lot of teams talking to his agents, and that's why he's not anywhere yet.
I personally don't want him. He's injury prone. If you want my opinion, I would either want Stephon Diggs back because Stephon Diggs wasn't injury prone before his ACL injury, but at the same time, what would he miss like the first 5 games?
31 with his first ACL injury. It's not a good look. It's Odell.
Yeah.
And that's what worries. It's
Odell that old though?
Yes.
Odell was 31.
Yeah, but I thought Odell was kind of injury prone before though. I guess he wasn't. He played quite a bit in Cleveland. Either way it goes, okay, well still. Either way it goes, like I say, the person I would want will be Amari Cooper. He don't miss games. He's not gonna complain. He's gonna go out there and do his job. This is how I feel.
I would have agreed with you before last year, but go look at Buffalo. While playing for Buffalo, he missed at least 4 games with injury.
Yeah. It would be an interesting pairing, though. I mean, Amari Cooper, former Alabama wide receiver, coming to play for a former Alabama linebacker in D'Amico Ryans. I mean, maybe that Alabama connection does something. But yeah, I don't want I don't want Kupp. I think he's way past his prime. I think his body is catching up to the workload that he's been putting out, and he's just trying to cash in. Diggs, I'm not opposed to. I think it's somebody that we realistically just can't expect until midway through the season. Cooper, I mean, shit. If he plays, 12 games, that's what we get out of Nico Collins every year. I'm cool with that. Elijah Moore has just been criminally underutilized. So, I mean, a lot of these guys, there's a lot of options. There's a lot of options in the draft, but the draft this year feels like it's not a lot of wide receiver ones. It's a lot of wide receiver twos and wide receiver threes. And I think that's where we're going to be able to find realistically and on the cheap the replacement for Diggs and fill in that wide receiver 3 void. But it does beg the question, what's left for the draft? We've got the first round pick at 25, second round at 58, third at 79, third at 89, fifth round at 166, 2 sevens at 236 and 241 respectively. Let's talk about what we would realistically be seeing in the NFL draft if Houston just makes minimal movements between now and then. Maybe they don't sign a wide receiver until after the draft or whatever. Would you guys be okay if they drafted Ibuka?
Wouldn't matter about it, but I also think that
no,
we gotta.
I wouldn't be okay with it. I wouldn't be okay with it. I like Ibuka. I like what he could do. I think he'd be a great receiver. So could a lot of other guys. The fact that we've already figured out no matter how many weapons you give CJ, if you can't protect him, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
It's true. It's true.
And especially with him not being a mobile quarterback like that.
If I have an opportunity at an actual rated first round lineman, I originally said I didn't want it to be a tackle, but at this point, if it's a first round lineman in general,
yeah,
I got to go that route.
Okay,
I got to.
What was the name you threw out earlier?
Gray Zabel in the first round, and I said third round take Rutledge from Georgia. Those are the 2 linemen I would want.
And now I would not be opposed to Zabel. Zabel's a big mauler.
Might be a center, might be a guard, might be a tackle.
Yeah. He is 6'6". He's be an interesting center to have when your quarterback is, 3 or 4 inches shorter than that. But I would not be opposed to that at all. I think that Jarrett Patterson, while he's good at pass pro, is not very good at run blocking. And it's just the opposite for Juice Scruggs. I think Juice Scruggs ends up starting for this team at some point. I think he ends up as probably one of the guards. And then you draft Zabel, and he ends up starting at center. Jarrett Patterson is relegated to center number 2.
Which is a good problem.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal problem to have. But, Jarrett Patterson's 26, 27 going into his 3rd season.
Yep. He was older when we got him, and you can see the experience with how he plays.
Yeah. So, I mean, realistically, we don't have a lot of years where he's in his prime as an offensive lineman. Juice Scruggs, we got a little bit more time. A little bit more. But with that being said, gentlemen, this has been a chaotic offseason for the Houston Texans. I cannot imagine that they go into this draft and don't add some offensive linemen and don't add wide receivers. Because that feels like if they don't draft those 2 positions, feels like they're just doing everything on defense.
Yep.
Like we're trying to build the 85 Bears in Houston.
Oh shit.
Like,
Oh shit. That was a damn good defense, son.
it
That was a
was
damn good defense.
damn good defense. But, I think throughout free agency so far, it's just been about the defense that they've been building. They've been tearing down other positions.
If we don't protect CJ Stroud, I could see CJ being a quarterback that decides he wants to go play somewhere else.
I agree. That's why I think the linemen being drafted this year they'll have to play well. But if they do, it's a good problem to have. We're going to have, young offensive linemen in front of him that are playing on cheap deals, going to allow us to pay him that money. Because honestly, at this point, I think regardless of how Titus Howard plays, there's no way he's earning $23 million a season to go play somewhere.
No,
Like,
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if Titus Howard actually ends up getting re-signed after this offseason.
Interesting.
Depends on what happens.
I mean, he's got 2 years left on the deal, but they're void years.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll probably would just renegotiate all that and do that Taysom Hill voodoo on the contract. But some of these
when you talk about voodoo, the Saints surely do voodoo because I'll be trying to figure out how they be doing whatever the hell they be doing.
Yeah.
The thing nobody paid attention to when they restructured Derek Carr's contract, they damn near made $30 million just off of fixing his contract.
Yeah.
Oh, he let them do that? I didn't pay no attention to that. He actually let them
do
that?
No, because
it's not
he still gets his money.
Cut. Yeah, it's you're not getting a pay cut. They just convert.
Well, no, I know you're not getting a pay cut, but of course I know that you can turn things into sign-in bonuses and things like that. I know there are different.
Let me ask you a question, Chris. You at your job, they tell you we paying you $90,000 a year to work your job. Hey, how about we give you $55,000 of your $90,000 that you're gonna make this year right now, but you keep coming to work. We just need you to hold this money in your bank account, as opposed to us paying it out, and we're gonna shrink the amount that we pay you next year. But we already gave you the $55,000. We're not gonna short you. Every player in the NFL will agree.
Yeah,
every last one. You're finna hand me how many million?
Oh yeah.
You finna hand me how many million right now for a contract I already signed?
Yeah. And that's why there's a lot of cap manipulation these days. But look, I think we pretty much covered all the big stuff. I did want to touch on Darrell Taylor real quick before we get out of here. Darrell Taylor is not necessarily a top end edge rushing talent, but with a better win rate than a starting defensive end for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And he's going to be defensive end number 3 or 4 for us.
Mm-hmm.
Holy fuck, dude. That is insane. To be able to have Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson Jr., who are both playing lights out, and then, oh no, they're tired. And Darrell Taylor and Derek Barnett come out. Oh no, they're tired. And then we got Danico Autry and Dylan Horton coming out. Dude, Autry played pretty damn well in that Lions game. He made Penei Sewell look like a bitch.
He made his bitch.
That first half, Danico Autry was stealing that man's lunch and banging his wife. It was bad. Dude, go back and watch. You're going to be like,
it was bad. Yeah. Well, you remember, I was in the building and I was trying to figure out, man, who the hell is that killer? That's Danico.
Yeah.
I think they made him piss in the cup after that game, too, again.
I think so. But look, that's another thing. Danico missed 6 games because of suspension last year. So we're going to be looking at an actual defense that doesn't have anybody, God willing, scheduled to miss any stupid suspensions. That's going to be huge for us.
Our entire defensive line, nobody's getting off-season surgery. Defensive linemen get that, what they call that cleanup surgery.
Mm-hmm.
None of them. All of them are perfectly healthy. And I know we talked about this at one point. I'm talking to Daniil now about an extension. 1, it's going to free up some more money if I need it.
Yep.
And 2, I want him to be here. And he wants to be here.
Yep.
What's the downside?
Yeah.
Because we're not drafting another defensive end.
No, not
You
one.
know, that's what you do when you have an old defensive end. You start drafting this replacement. There's been no discussions about drafting a defensive end.
Yeah. Well, all right, gentlemen. Look, I think we've come to a good stopping point here. Folks, I want to thank you all for joining us and watching. Hit the like, subscribe, and notification bells on this channel so we can grow and be put in front of more Texans fans like yourselves. While you're at it, head on over to Mass 3 Productions on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, fucking OnlyFans. Like, subscribe. Like, subscribe over there. Head on over to That's Crazy Podcast and Talk. Support Chris's channel. Like, subscribe, notification bell across all the social medias. Folks, be good people. Go Texans and let Nick cook for the love of God.
Go Texans.
Peace.